What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Morning Mayhem. It's your boy Chris coming at you with another episode. Super excited to have you back with us. It's going to be a fantastic show today. Got several topics to go over. Some, obviously politically motivated a little bit, but that's geared toward the audience that may not typically listen to this show. I have a segment that I specifically am dialing in to the liberals. So if you are a conservative and you watch all the time, please, by all means, stay tuned, check it out and everything. But if you're a liberal, if you stumbled across this channel and you're like, what is going on here? What's this show all about? Oh, it's this crazy right-wing guy. I can tell from the intro video. Yes, you are correct. I am crazy and I'm, I guess, right-wing, right-leaning, whatever you want to call it. But I have a segment for you guys, and it's about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, kinda. But it's more about the media and how they're lying to us. Now, I say to you guys because it's your normal thing to tune off when you start hearing that, but I want to help open your eyes, because the same people that are trusting the mainstream media and the government right now are the same people that had said for years, especially when it was, race wars and riots and whatever back in the, I guess, early 90s or something like that. We don't trust the media. We don't trust these people. We don't trust the government. Yeah. Y'all are the ones trusting them now. And it's like flipped, and conservatives are like, I don't know. So I do have a segment coming up specifically for you guys. I hope you'll stick around and check that out. But I do want to go ahead and put a plug in for next week's show. So I do have VBS next week at church that I'm helping out with, because that's what I do. But next week's show, we have Robert Herr on the show, and really, really like him. I've been on his live streams before once. I think just once. Yeah, I've been on his live stream before once, and we've been on another one together once or twice, and really enjoy talking with him. He is a business owner, conservative commentator with the Washcast on Rumble and Twitter, or X for those that call it that. He also just attended the People's Convention up there in Michigan, hosted by Turning Point Action. We'll talk about that and much more. Links to his channels and socials will be in the show notes below, so you can go ahead and check him out and see what he's all about and everything like that. And hopefully you'll come back next week and tune in. So it will not be our normal segmented show. I'm going to go ahead and, do the whole show hanging out with him, talking to him, interviewing him about some things. And he definitely comes from a very unique perspective, and we'll talk about that. So it's a show you're definitely not going to want to miss. So we'll go ahead and go into this week's rundown. We brought back a couple of fun segments for you. Our first one is going to be gay. Is pride and the LGBTQ movement actually taking away from other individuals and communities? It is Pride Month after all, so we got to talk about that a little bit. Our other segment, there's something wrong with Joe. We take a look at the latest viral clip of Biden's mental decline. And again, this is the one that's not just about that, but it's how the media and this administration are trying to spin this. And it is quite interesting, especially with who calls it out. And so I'm excited to share that one with you. Also coming up, we've got Everything on TV Sucks. And that's going to be about Hollywood not being gay enough. Again, Pride Month, we got to talk about that, right? But first, let's go ahead and get into our first story. This story comes from another good buddy of mine, whose show that I was on with when I first was on with Robert, I guess. And that is Sean from Third Railify. You guys hear me mention him all the time. He is a good friend of the show. He is the first one that brought me onto a live stream that I was incredibly nervous about, and looking forward to do that again. Speaking of which, we are getting close to 150, 200 subscribers on YouTube. And my goal is, once we get to 500 subscribers on YouTube, I'll do my first live stream there. And because Rumble sometimes runs around 10% or so of that, I set a goal at 50, and we are quickly getting there on Rumble. So we are very close to 50 followers on Rumble. Once we get to 50, I'll do a live stream on there. Now, I've been on other live streams, but I've never hosted my own. So once we hit that goal of 50 followers on Rumble, we will do our first live stream, and I'm probably going to invite some of these guys on to hang out with us if they're available, and have a really, really good time. Good show. So if you are not subscribed or following, or whatever the platform you're on, if you're not doing that, consider that today. I'm not going to beg for your subscription. I'm not going to bend the knee and plead to whatever to get your, that ain't me. All right. So I'm going to present what I'm going to present. And if you like it, consider liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good fun stuff. And if you don't, that's fine too. You can move on. You can even let me know in the comments below, how much of a loser I am. That's fine. I read those comments too, and I still love you. But back to this first story. So thank you, Sean from Third Railify, for sending over this story to me and checking it out. I've started to see people covering it already, so I may be behind the 8 ball a little bit on this, but we will go ahead and get to it. This coming from the Daily Mail. Seattle to use illegal migrants to bolster depleted police force after losing 700 officers in just 5 years. There's a lot to go into here. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant that has nothing to do with police officers in a little bit, but let's go ahead and read through some of it and see what this story is all about before I get there. All right. So again, this is from the Daily Mail. It says Seattle has become the latest dim-run city trying to replace an exodus of police officers with illegal migrants, or illegal aliens, as they used to be called before it hurt people's feelings. Washington's largest city has just 913 cops to serve its 750,000 people after losing 725 officers in the last 5 years. Now its police department has tweaked the rules to allow applications from migrants who cross the border illegally as children and are registered on the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which is DACA, or they call them Dreamers. And under a law change signed by Democrat Governor Jay Inslee in February, they can be chosen above an equally qualified candidate if they speak more than one language. So isn't that something? First of all, I'm going to say, I don't hold it against the children that cross the border illegally when they're a child, when they're accompanying an adult. And I'm going to use the word adult instead of parent. You got to understand, Trump got a lot of grief about separating parents from the children at the border, when a lot of those people crossing over with kids aren't their parents. They are adults. They may not even be their guardians. A lot of them were trafficking children, and that's one of the reasons he's all about shutting down the border, along with drugs and everything else, and just not having people overrun your country illegally. Right. So there's children that were brought over by an adult, and I have sympathy for these people. I really, really do. And I would love to see them on some kind of track for citizenship or, something, because this is not their fault, to be fair. I mean, if we're being fair, it's not their fault. And I'm all about trying to make the world a better place. And I think we do that by treating our fellow man better. And these people did not have a choice. So I'm all about discrepancy. And this may irritate some people on the right, but I'm all about trying to find common ground here and work things out. What I don't care for so much, if they are technically an illegal alien or migrant, as they call them, they don't need to necessarily be trying to work a job where they have to uphold the law. Does that make sense? Okay. Not only that, but as we see right here, under a law change, they can be chosen above an equally qualified candidate if they speak more than one language. So you get a Mexican child that comes over that learned Mexican when they were in Mexico. They come over here, they learn English, and they know 2 languages. Now they're going up against a whatever, black, white, Hispanic, whatever. That's someone who's an actual American citizen legally, either born here or through citizenship, tests and all this and that, or whatever. Someone who's legally here that should be able to legally hold a job may lose out on a role to an illegal immigrant. Let that sink in. They can lose a job that they really want to an illegal immigrant who is equally or less qualified just because they can speak multiple languages. Let that marinate for a minute while I keep going, and I'm going to get to that because there's an element of that's going to go into my rant here in just a minute. Okay. Radio host Jason Rantz tells News Nation's Morning in America, I think if you have anyone who is qualified and willing to do the job, including qualified Americans who speak another language, they should be treated just as equally as everybody else. So each person who shows up for an interview has to admit to committing a felony, one retired officer wrote on X. A federal trial should take place prior to any hiring, I would assume. He's questioning that. We'll do a little bit more, and then I'll kind of wrap this part of it up. More than 500,000 people in the U.S. registered under the Obama-era DACA program before it was rescinded by Donald Trump in 2017. While they are allowed to work in the U.S. under a renewable 2-year work permit, restrictions on carrying firearms had previously barred them from police work. But in a memo last year, the department stated that DACA recipients can possess duty firearms and possess ammunition as part of their official law enforcement officer duties. So right there, we already see an issue. If you're not a legal citizen in this country, you don't have the same rights guaranteed to you. One of those is the right to bear arms. And it makes sense you don't want to put the firearm in the hand of an illegal immigrant who is also a felon, essentially, because they are an illegal immigrant. And they're going to pull you over for speeding. But that's not a felony. Anyways, I do have issues with this. There's a little bit of stupidity here. I think there's probably a way to go about this in a better sense, as far as allowing them to apply for jobs and do stuff, right? I don't see an illegal immigrant having the hypocritical job of upholding the law to a legal citizen. That's just me. I don't know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments section below. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just stop there. I mean, the article goes on. Guys, I'll tell you, if this is your first time watching, this is very big, I think. But Steven Crowder does this over at Louder with Crowder, and I'm going to talk about them in a little bit too. But I really, really appreciated seeing that, and I'm starting to see other people do it too. I've done it from day one because I've learned from them that this was a excellent thing to do, and that is make your sources available to the viewers, to the audience, right? So all the sources that I use, be it a website, an article, even just a headline, if you see like a clip of it, a video that I play, snippets from a video, data that I share, whatever, any data sources that I used, statistics, headlines, like I said, anything. Those sources are always going to be available to you in the comment section, or not the show notes below, the description, not the comments, the description below. So despite what platform you're on watching this, if this video is there, the show notes should be there and the sources should be linked there. 100%. So check them out. Go read the full article if you're interested in it. I know there's probably some other ones out there that cover this as well. But again, make sure I'm not being taken out of context. This is kind of some foreshadowing into our later story about how the news media is spinning things. I want to be transparent. I want you to trust me. I want you to be able to come and watch the Morning Mayhem and go, this guy has a biased slant. This guy has his own perspective and views and leans to the right and all this and that, but he tells it like it is. He shares facts. And even when he's got a little bit of a slant to it, or he has his own, personal bias in it, I can go read it for myself and make sure that this is legit. And that's what I hope. I hope I do a good job in putting that out there for you all to know that I am trying to be transparent. I'm not trying to trick anybody on anything. Okay. So let's go into my little bit of a rant here. This isn't just about this police force, any police force, but any job. It can be about anything, right? I've worked in management for most of my adult life, and most of that has been in retail. Okay. So here's what I know. You hire good people. You treat them well. You pay them right, and they will stick around. They'll work hard. They will become dedicated to you. They don't want to lose a job where they're treated right and paid well. to get both of those at the same place is pretty difficult sometimes. So you get hardworking people that are going to do their job and do it right. And they're going to be committed long term, right? On the flip side, when you don't do those, the good ones leave. The bad ones stay. Everything goes to crap. And it takes more time, energy, money, potentially bailouts, or whatever to recover, if it's even possible. So if you're a business and you just hired garbage people to work for garbage wages and garbage hours, and you let all your good folks go because you don't want to pay or treat people the right way anymore, your business is probably going to fail because your customer service is going to fail. The tasks that they have to do are going to fail. If you're a police force, who do you think's left? Do you think the good cops are left? Hey, I'm in it to fight crime, no matter how little I get paid or how overlooked for promotions and raises and everything I am for people that are illegal immigrants and stuff. You think those people are sticking around? No. You get people that want the power. You get people that want the influence. You get people that are in it for themselves. I can almost guarantee. This article does go on. I will say, like, if you look it up, go past where I did, read some more. It talks about people that pen letters. There's a Lieutenant Jessica Taylor. She wrote a letter. She left them after 23 years of service. She said, your controlling, bullying, and gaslighting tendencies have wreaked havoc on this department, driving away talented and dedicated officers. That's my point right there. You're pushing away the good people. And let me tell you something. As a taxpayer, I want the best people working for me. That's why I don't care if there's a jerk in the White House. If he's a jerk getting stuff done that benefits me and my family and my friends and my neighbors and all of us, I don't care what he tweets. I don't care how he talks to people. If he's making a positive impact on our lives, making this world a better place, or at least this country a better place, to be fair, I don't care as much about the world as I do America. And I don't care about anybody else's family as much as I do mine, if I'm 100% transparent. But my point is, if you got somebody out there fighting for you and you are paying them as the taxpayer, you want the best. And I feel bad for these people that are about to have potential felons wearing the badge, carrying a firearm, trying to uphold the law in such a hypocritical way. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. Would love to hear it. Let's go into our next segment. So this will be a good one. Again, I haven't had this segment in a little while. It's been a few weeks, but it's Pride Month. Thought we'd bust it out. Our next segment is simply called Gay.
LGBTQ2 plus.
Gay! All right, guys, let's kick this segment off with a tweet, a simple tweet, a meme, if you will, from a specific account. This comes from, there we go. This comes from Twitter again. This is from Pride UK. Pride UK. It's just a simple little image, little meme, whatever. It says equal rights for others does not mean fewer rights for you. It's not pie. Well, I am someone that likes to find common ground on things. I like to meet in the middle where I can. Of course, I have my own perspectives and I do lean to the right. No question about that. I got a lot of gay friends. I do. And I love them. I got no problem with them. I have problems from within this community, and they're very specific issues that I have. And those issues I have are part of this statement right here. This equal rights for others does not mean fewer rights for you. I'll argue that one a little bit. Let's talk about it a little bit. Before we do, let's look at some of the comments here. So again, this is from Pride UK. Again, I will have the link in the show notes below, so you can go check this out and read these tweets and replies and everything yourself. By the way, again, I've mentioned this before. I am new to Twitter, so I'm a new twit. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm learning it as I go. I probably have like 12 followers, and I have no idea how many I'm following. I know nothing. Have mercy on me. I'm an old man. All right. So let's take a look at this one right here. Yay. First one, what we got? Get lost groomers. It is when those rights I think that's infringe on others, such as single sex spaces and competing in sports, which is going to be the big one I get into. I want to take a look at that one. And this is another comment, I think, kind of backing that up. If it means there are no longer single sex spaces, sports, and prisons, then yes, we are indeed losing rights. This isn't complicated. Not housing males and females together in prison is in the Geneva Convention, for Christ's sake. Trans rights are man's rights. Not wrong on that one. Who's going to tell them? It's most definitely is a pie. If a lesbian cannot say she only likes, or a gay he only likes, without getting verbal abuse, then trans rights most definitely are a danger. Yeah, I guess. I don't know if I get that one so much, but yeah. Oh, and here's a good point right here. And this we may dive into a little bit next week on the show. There's if you can't see it, LGB, and then it's got scissors TQ. So the separation right there. And I've talked about that before. I have no problem with the LGB portion of it. Is once you get outside of that, I start kind of having issues, to be honest with you. Nope, not going to do a super deep dive today. Sorry, my mind was going there for a second. Not going to do a super deep dive today. We'll save that for another time. So, there's obviously a push for more diversity, and by diversity in our common spaces, I do mean that singular diversity. Right? I don't mean actual diversity. I mean, the only ones that matter aren't just people from the alphabet community, but only those that are on board with the entire movement and agenda. So inclusion and diversity and all that, not just for gay people that are gay, but you legit have to be sold out for this entire agenda, movement, and everything like that. So again, we'll have folks on our show that are part of the community, but part of a portion of the community. You know what I'm saying? They feel the same way I do. We've got groups out there called Gays Against Groomers. There's a couple of folks I know that are involved with that. And for the most part, I know a lot of people that are like, look, we ain't diddling kids. I don't want to tell you about my sex life. I don't want to hear about yours. I'm not going to walk around butt naked. I expect you not to do the same out in public. Common sense stuff. But again, you've got people within this community, again, it's toward the end of the alphabet there, of the community there, that are pushing all kinds of crazy, weird stuff. That said, we're going to look at a couple of examples real quick on how this does, in fact, actually push against not just people's rights, but how it is impacting people that are not part of this community. First up, this comes from MRC TV. Biological man sets new women's track records with times that would have been last. And men's, this is not the first time we've seen something like this. It won't be the last. So this is a biological man competing in a women's sports against other women. Take a look at the images there. Not the most feminine looking. Next up, the Daily Signal. Biological male wins NCAA women's track championship. Of course, there you see him running on the left. And a stark difference between, I'm going to say him and the other competitor there on the right. Yeah. And so we see him out here in the sports just running over these women, right? Let's keep going. How about this one from post-millennial trans-identified biological male? Don't care anything about the trans-identified, but a biological male wins women's cycling event in New York, towers over second, third place competitors in podium. Moving on to like beauty pageants and whatnot here, we've got from Gateway Pundit, biological man wins Miss Netherlands 2023, set to compete in Miss Universe. This is the one I remember when I saw this come out, I was like, how did that win? And then I saw who he was up against, and I'm floored because I have seen people that have gone trans. Blair White's an example that pulled it off and pulled it off very well. This dude right here, not so much. How about another one? An overweight bloke just won a Miss America beauty pageant. This is from Spike. It said the first trans winner, Miss Greater Dairy, has put the misogyny of transgenderism on full display. This is another one. Look at all the peers there that he was up against, and he won. You can't tell me this is natural. You can't tell me that people legit believe in what they're voting for. This is all a ploy. Here's another one from NBC News. Nevada pageant winner to become first transgender Miss USA contestant. My win is our win. We just made history. Happy Pride. That's supposed to be her voice as a him. Anyways, yeah, I mean, look at those first two pictures. I don't know about that. That third picture, maybe. But no, I mean, look at all these people winning pageants, these Miss whatever pageants, and they're dudes. Last one, biological male wins Miss Valley Isle USA pageant in Hawaii. Of course, there you see him strutting stuff on the left, and again on the right. Kind of passable, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and get this off the screen though, because I'm staring a little too long. Look, the point to all this is very simple. Look, we're not trying to take other people's rights away or force people into a box. But here's what's happening. There is an agenda at play. You can say there's not. There is. There is an agenda at play. There's a movement afoot. And men, this is why women have to speak up, okay? Men are taking over women's sports. Men are taking over women's beauty pageants. Men are being put in women's prisons, graping, I'll use that word, the women that are in there, impregnating them, beating them up. I mean, those of you that are watching, look, I get that you want to be sympathetic to these people, and I do too. I think most of them do suffer from, a mental illness, gender dysphoria, or it's just a social thing where they want to blend in, and this is the current thing, whatever. I don't know. But there's most definitely a movement, and people are sold out for it. Perfect example of taking a woman's job. Even when I was filling the overlays up earlier to have all those pictures for you, do you know who I had to replace that was in there? Sydney Sweeney, scantily clad, lovely, all female Sydney Sweeney. I replaced her with dudes. She's something else. All right. Who remembers this? This is the deaf, mute, trans in a one of those music singing competitions like American Idol or whatever. This is foreign, and this is Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You." Now, I'm not going to play the whole song, if you can call it that, but we're going to look at it real quick, and you tell me what you think. They were cheering it on, him on, shim on. They were cheering shim on. And, he couldn't hear them. They could have just went, who knows, whatever. Check it out. You can hear a little laughter in there.
Super famosa na cidade dela, e ela, embora tenha essa limitação,
this isn't a skit or anything. Okay, this isn't a skit. I mean, yeah, you can hear people laughing, but look how serious they were taking it. I want to see like the judges. Look, here's a judge. Oh, he's so deep. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. Hit that high note for me. What even is that?
What the hell is even that?
Let's get here, yeah. What is she doing? You can't tell me these people were not trying to not laugh at that. I mean, you heard people in the audience. This dude's covering his face. He's laughing. You know he is. The only reason a deaf mute person was put into this competition was for one reason, one reason alone. Trans. How embarrassing for that person. They can't sing. They can't hear. What a challenge enough. But then they were a box that got checked because this network was like, hey, let's put a tranny out there. Who did they please with this? You know what? Let's look at some of these comments because I was like, We'll just go through a few here. My brother's Rottweiler slammed his nuts on a fence one time and made this exact noise. The best part is the jury trying to look very serious and deeply touched. It's a metaphor for everything going on. Get used to this. This is the future of entertainment industry. I never realized that entire song consisted of just one word being repeated over and over. The bloke could play Chewbacca. My dog loved it, the song, and the song of the ancients. And it's more and more of that. And I don't want to pick on him too bad just because I'm not a jerk. But this is someone who's suffering from something. I'm sure of it, right? But yeah, girls, young women, like my little girl, are at risk of losing their, maybe not their rights necessarily. Yeah, well, kind of rights, right? They're definitely at risk of losing opportunities. We saw that with the sports and with the pageants. Now, my daughter's not a girly girl. She hasn't done the pageants and stuff like that, but she has done sports and she's excelled in her sports. She's excelled in her, what do you call it? The vocational part of school and stuff like that. I mean, she's sharp. She's awesome. I'm super proud of her. But what's going to happen when she goes and decides she's going to sign up for soccer and plays, and she has to play against grown boys of her age group that are biological males running all over them. Now, Daddy's going to have a problem with that. You know, a dude running over my baby angel sweetie pie out there on the field. Daddy might be out there on the field, and their daddy needs to roll up on the field because I'm gonna handle that too. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so my little girl, and I'm not just speaking for my little girl. I'm your little girl, your little girls, your friends' little girls, your nephews and nieces and cousins, and all these children that are going to be impacted by this. I do lean on the side of the girls because you don't see that many girls transitioning into boys and competing with them. It's mostly impacting the girls and the girl sports and young women and whatnot. And you look at Riley Gaines and what happened with her and Leah Thompson and the Leah Thomas. You know, got to put some respect on that name, Leah Thomas, for the swimming, right? But yeah, so the little girls competing in sports, going into the locker rooms or the restrooms and having to share them with boys. Doesn't sound like a good time for anybody. Again, Daddy has a problem with that. And when I say, again, my child, I'm thinking of all children. The children that are making their way through life right now, just figuring themselves out, figuring life out, completely impressionable, and developing, you know, physically, emotionally, hormonally, all that stuff. It's a weird, crazy time for them as it is already. The last thing that I want to worry about is my little girl being able to use the bathroom or the locker room and be at risk of seeing a big old dangly dick.
This is your life now. This is our election now.
I understand your frustration.
When it fits a woman.
What? That guy's a wuss. Everything on TV sucks.
All right, so this next segment comes from Bounding into Comics. Of course, again, it is Pride Month, and we just transitioned from that last story into a Hollywood story, and it's rather fitting. From Bounding into Comics, after failing GLAAD's 2023 Studio Responsibility Index, whatever that is, sure we'll get into that, Lionsgate develops new Story Spark tool to improve diversity and inclusion efforts. And I will say again, as an internationally award-winning filmmaker, I look at these studios and I see what kind of films they make, how they support their artists that they are working with. Lionsgate's been a phenomenal one. And now I don't know how they are politically or where they align with certain things, but when I look at it from like an artist perspective, how they supported Rob Zombie when he first got started, how they got behind the Saw films when they were first getting started, and I can honestly go on. There's several up and coming filmmakers that they got behind and said, okay, we're gonna pump this out there, and really did a fantastic job. I like that they are willing to take risks, so I appreciate them as far as that goes. And here they are doing this, so I'm like, I don't know. And I will say this again. I think diversity is a good thing in certain fields. With the filmmaking, my filmmaking partner, not my partner, my filmmaking partner, his name is John, and he is a black man. We both grew up in the same town, different parts of town, got to know each other in another town randomly, and hit it off, and we work very, very well together. When we sit down and write a script, I'll write it, he'll go back and tweak it, or he'll write it, I'll tweak it, and we bounce stuff off of each other. We have two different cultures coming together. You know, I can see things from, you know, a white dude's perspective. He can see it from a black guy's perspective, and that kind of diversity has amplified our stuff to the point where we are, again, both internationally award-winning filmmakers. And I don't say that to my horn. I'll toot his horn. He's phenomenal. But just that's where I'm coming from this. So I see this and it irritates me, because when it is forced and it is worked into the story, or it's worked in behind the scenes where they're casting the directors, like we see on like The Acolyte and some of these other places. Oh, she's the first woman of color who's also a trans that's ever directed a feature film or a series of this. Nobody cares. And the ones that do aren't coming out to support your film. They're not coming out to watch your series. Go look at The Acolyte. The worst performing Star Wars series, product, film, whatever, of all time. And they checked a lot of boxes to make that movie, or that series rather. From the top to the bottom, in front of the camera, behind the camera. Diversity, equity, inclusion. When it is forced, might as well be diversity, inclusion, and equity, DIE, meaning you are going to kill the project. I am not a fan of forced diversity. Let me write the movies I want to write. You write the movies you want to write. Let's make them. Let's make magical stuff happen. I enjoy movies that are 95+% all black cast and crew and everything, just as much as I do films that are opposite, that are mostly white. I don't really care about all that. Sometimes it's relevant to the story. Sometimes it's not, honestly. But if it's a good story, I get lost in it. So I don't really care. Just go back to telling good stories. Sorry, a little rant there, but again, as an aspiring filmmaker, as someone who's in the game a little bit, this is very irritating to me. Not only that, but I'm a fan. You know, I am a fan of stuff. So let's look at this. Again, from bounding into comments, and of course you got Kate Blanchett and Kevin Hart over there. Kate Blanchett, you know, Blanchett. She can get it. Anyways, looking at the articles, is last year Lionsgate was the only film studio who received a failing grade during GLAAD's annual of Hollywood's LGBTQ representation efforts. Annual something, I don't know. In response, the studio has now announced, this is got all kinds of typos and stuff. In response, the studio has now announced plans to use a new analytical tool to increase the diversity and inclusion levels of their various films and TV projects. The most powerful LGBTQ lobby in Hollywood, GLAAD, has spent the last several years demanding an increase in the amount of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender characters across the entire industry. Now, they want more representation. I want to be very clear about this. I think it's fine when a lot of our films and a lot of our businesses, you know, kind of look like the communities in which they're in. You got to understand how large the LGBTQ community is overall, how large the black community is to the white community. If you want apples to apples, what is it? 17% of the population is black or something like that in this country. But they want more than 17%. And I mean, they, not when I say they, I don't mean black people want to see more black people. There are some, obviously, but it's not like they're screaming for it. But it's Hollywood and these groups behind there. It's like, we got to have more diversity. They want to see more black representation on film, even if it's 50%, which is drastically outweighs the actual representation of this country. But it works for them to say we have more minorities and more this and that. Now you've made them an equal or a majority even, right, in the film. Same thing with the LGBTQ community. You got so few that are in that community, but you want so much representation in the films. Again, I don't push back that hard on some stuff, but I'm like, come on. Even you guys are pushing way too much. What half the cast has to be gay? A third of the cast has to be gay? That's not even realistic in real life. Among all the people you know, it's not. It's just not. Statistically, it is not. But they want to overrepresent certain groups. Not all groups, certain groups. Because, like we talked about in the last segment, it is a pie. The more you have of certain groups, the less you have to have of certain other groups to make room for them. Just a fact. As part of this campaign, the last 10 years have seen the organization produce an annual studio responsibility index which grades and maps the quantity, quality, and diversity of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer characters in films released by 10 major motion picture studios during the given calendar year. According to the group's 2023 report, the only major studio to receive a poor rating was Lionsgate due to them having produced only one LGBTQ inclusive. Now, I wonder how they define that. LGBT inclusive film out of the 6 total they made the previous year, Clerks 3, which I still hadn't seen. I've seen Clerks. I think I've seen Clerks 2. However, GLAAD was not happy with how the topic was handled in the film, criticizing how the bisexuality of Becky, played by Rosario Dawson, who can also get it, was played for laughs. Yes, because sometimes gay is funny. I don't know what it is about that. We want to be included in everything, but not the punchline. We don't want to be the punchline. We don't want to be the villain. I remember when It 2, I think it was It 2, came out. The first victim of the film was a gay guy. Congratulations, you got your inclusion. There was a gay couple in the film. The first death was a gay guy. How awesome is that? No, because now we're the victim and you're being mean to us. You pick and choose the inclusion the way you want it. It doesn't make any sense. You have to include us, but you only can include us in certain kinds of ways. Man, get out of here with that. I gotta get Rosario Dawson off the screen too. At one point, she lists all the famous dead people in heaven that she is having sex with, including Cleopatra. Recalled the organization Becky's bisexuality is played more as a joke than real development, because Clerks, I don't know if you know this, is a comedy. It's the third comedy with that name, following 2 other ones that were also comedies. I need a little the more you know. It reads more as a throwaway joke than real representation. Real representation, they added. GLAAD urges Lionsgate to make efforts for solid and meaningful LGBTQ representation in future projects, which this goes to, I'm going to go right here. This speaks so much to why today's films suck. Because if gay people have to be treated like such a serious topic, they're either getting left out of the films because the films are trying to be funny or horror or whatever, and they're bitching and moaning about it, or they're putting them in a comedy or a horror and they're seriousing it up to make these idiots happy. So now today's films, especially the comedies, aren't that funny. Because if there's 6 friends hanging out, each one of them can get made fun of and picked at and have fun and all this good stuff, right? Except for the one that's gay. Because then it's a hate crime. It's a travesty. So you see 5 of 6 people getting picked on, having fun with. And you internalize it because something's wrong here. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Everybody's supposed to be able to pick at everybody, have fun with everybody. Inclusion, right? They have selective inclusion, in my humble yet accurate opinion. I'll go back here just to look at this, if you can even make it out. So this is their chart from their 2022 overall findings, apparently. So 14 films. This is A24, who I do like also of their projects. Out of 14 films, 5 were LGBT inclusive films. Again, I don't know what you mean by inclusive. They just include somebody from that community. Clerks 3 did, and you were complaining about that because it wasn't the way you wanted them included, but whatever. So I guess just including a character, that's that way. Do they have to announce it? I mean, how many characters do you see in movies that never talk about their sexuality? Straight or gay? Because guess what? It doesn't matter. Nobody cares who you're wanting to go to bed with. Unless it's absolutely critical to your character development, we don't have to know. You can go back and watch a ton of movies that are black and white from back in the day and say, he's gay, she's gay. And they'll be like, how do you know? It's like, well, how do you know they're straight? You don't see them having sex with anybody. You don't see them talking about their husband or wife. You can assume they're gay. Well, you can assume they're straight. Exactly. It doesn't matter. That's the point. Anyways, 5 out of 14 is 36%. That is good. Here's Amazon Studios. Oh, woke Amazon. Out of 35 films, 12 were LGBTQ inclusive, which is 34%, which is almost the same as 36%, but not good. It is only fair. Womp womp. I think I got that over here. Apple TV, 18%, poor. Lionsgate, 17%, failing. Maybe that is why I like Lionsgate so much. They only had the one. Apple TV had 2. So it doesn't even, the math isn't mathing on this. Again, with the amount of representation that they're looking for. Oh, and of course, you see who's good and awesome up here. The Walt Disney Company, 24 out of 59. Damn near half of them got a bunch of gays in there. Again, I have no problem with having gay folks in your story and stuff. But why do we have to know? Unless it's vital to that character, why do we have to know? Why can't we just assume that their sexuality doesn't freaking matter? Because guess what? When I meet somebody, I don't care who they're sleeping with. Again, I got a gay couple that I hang out with all the time. Love them to death. Think the world of them. When I first met the guy that I work with, I didn't go, hey, are you one of them gays? No, I didn't do that. I didn't assume he was straight. I didn't assume he was gay. Just over time getting to know him, that came out, and I'm like, oh, cool. And I got to know his partner, and we got to hanging out and everything. And hey, next thing you know, we're partying and drinking and having a good time for Halloween and all kinds of stuff. And guess what? I haven't judged them at all, and they haven't judged me. And we've had some in-depth conversations. And some of the people that come out to their parties that I don't know, I've gotten to know that are in that community, and we've had some amazing conversations. It's amazing what happened when you're not forcing an agenda or some kind of stupidity on somebody, and you'll actually just sit down, have a conversation with them, and just talk about life. There's not that many judgmental people out there like you might think there are. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the inclusion and everything, and the stupidity behind GLAAD. Screw these guys. Telling a studio, a production company, a distributor, whoever, you need to put more of us in your films. Again, as an internationally award-winning filmmaker, I am hungry to make it to the big screen. That's my passion. That's my goal. Not this podcast stuff. I enjoy doing this, and I want to do it because I feel like I can be a net positive and be another voice of reason and getting facts out there where facts are very limited because the mainstream media doesn't allow for facts to get out there. But my dream is to make a living making films, making art, real art, not social justice, virtue signaling crap. Now, I know a lot of people do a lot of things to get to the big screen, you know, the Harvey Weinstein stuff. I ain't doing that. A lot of people compromise on their beliefs. You know, a lot of people will compromise on their art. I've only got so far that I will do that. I mean, I'm not against compromising to make something better or to meet a budget or deadline or something like that. But if you want me to rewrite my stories and create something that isn't natural to me, I'm not going to do it. I may lose the opportunity of a lifetime, and I get that. I get that. But I'll sleep better at night knowing that I did the right thing. And again, I have no problem putting gay folks in my films. In fact, I've got a couple of scripts that I've been playing with, and one or two of them may have some gay people in there. But it's natural because it fits with the story. And at the end of the day, it's the story that should matter more than anything else. And we have seen they don't care about the story, and they don't care about their audience. They just want to push their agenda on anyone and everyone that'll watch, check their little boxes, and they probably make a little side money with, BlackRock or some of these guys that want to push that diversity, equity, inclusion crap on us all.
This is your life now. This is our election now.
I understand your
This is our
frustration.
When it fits a woman.
What? That guy's a wuss. Everything on TV sucks.
Well, guys, while I got you, do want to talk to you real quick about friend of the show, Coffee Brand Coffee. You can check these guys out at coffeebrandcoffee.com. They got coffee, tea, cocoa. They got all kinds of flavors, seasonal flavor. I love when they come out with the seasonal flavors. They got treats and gift boxes occasionally and all kinds of stuff. Look, if you go on the website right now, you can use the link in the description below, or you can just go there and use the discount code Mayhem. You're going to get 5% off. Now, 5% off, they're already, a lot of this stuff's on sale. You get their sale price plus another 5% off. Plus, it helps the channel out at no extra cost to you or anything like that. This is just me helping you out, get a discount, and them helping a brother out, with a little bit of extra something. Now, I will tell you, if they are running a better discount code, use the link in the description below, in the show notes below, to get to the page, and then use whatever discount they're giving you. You're still going to get the best discount because it's going to include any extra that you would get from using my discount. Plus, it does, again, come back and help me out and grow the channel here. But they got everything, man. If you are tired of the gimmicky companies who offer marketing in place of truly great fresh roasted coffee, fulfillment and roasting facilities are located right here in the United States. And each purchase, I keep saying person every time I do this, each purchase, slow down, Chris, we're not cannibals. We're not cannibals. Each purchase, not anymore. Each purchase is hand roasted to order. That means they wait until they receive your order before they fire up the roasters. Lastly, it's just delicious. Again, you see I've got some back here that are, to be fair, to be transparent, they are empty because I have drank it all. But I do have some more in the kitchen that I am devouring right now, and I love it. Look, they're very comparable, whatever, with other online coffee distributors, but the quality far surpasses them in my book, in my humble yet accurate opinion. Again, go to coffeebrandcoffee.com for the best coffee, tea, cocoa online, and don't forget to use discount code Mayhem at checkout. Helps if I push the right button to get it to go away. All right, so before I roll the stinger to our next and final segment here, I do again want to address those of you that are watching this segment. I really, really hope that there are some liberals that will watch it, people that maybe are not the biggest Trump supporters. I know there's conservatives that aren't the biggest Trump supporters, but listen, if you're a liberal, I want you to understand this. This isn't a push to show Biden in a terrible light, even though it does. And it's not meant to try to make Donald Trump look better, which it does. The whole idea of this segment is really to reveal the lies, deception, and deceit of the mainstream media, and hopefully release the hold that they've had on you for so long. And when I say you guys more than us. That's why when you go online and you hear about channels like Rumble, or platforms like Rumble rather, and then some of these other ones, you're like, what is that? What is that? Free speech platforms, because other ones censor what we say, because they are so determined to silence alternative voices. And I'm a nobody. I'm a very small channel, but folks like myself, Third Railify, the Washcast, you've got larger channels for sure, the Quartering, Louder with Crowder, Liberal Hive Mind, Don't Walk Run Productions, so many others that talk about headlines and news and information that is very, very vital that we know, but it's not making the rounds, or it is being misinterpreted or misrepresented by mainstream media. Again, I urge you to stick through this segment if you can. Okay. I think you're going to get something out of it. With that, let's call it what it is. There's something wrong with Joe.
What are you doing?
There's something wrong with Joe.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this first article we're going to look at here. This is from the New York Post. The Obama-Biden arm grab wasn't just a senior moment. It was the moment everyone realized the president's not fit for office. Now, stay with me here. Yes, I'm going to mock what happened to Joe Biden in a caring way, I would say. But again, the presentation is going to be more so about how the media is spinning it. Now, look, I will call out the left for sure when they misrepresent something, do something wrong, whatever. But I also call out the right. I have no problem calling out Trump or anyone else on the right that does anything that I dislike. In fact, next week, we're going to have, again, I'll do another plug for next week's show, interview with Robert Herr from the Washcast, business owner, conservative commentator, and he went to that People's Choice or whatever it was. I'll say it right later at the end. I forget. Sorry. That Turning Point put together, filled with conservatives. And there was some questions I have that I want to ask him how he felt about, that I thought was a little weird on my side. But again, I question everything. I take nothing at face value. I always want to question. I always want to live in reality. And I've got my own personal opinions, just like everybody else does. So let's go ahead and look at this article. I'm going to try to run through as much as I can, because this might end up being a little bit of a long segment, but I'm going to try to run through it as quickly as possible to hit the highlights here. So this is an opinion piece from New York Post. It's written by Piers Morgan, of all people. How about that? We're going to look at the video. We're just not going to right here. We'll get into that in a little bit. They were only 10 words, but wow, did they spark a reaction. I watched the viral clip of Barack Obama taking a frozen Joe Biden by the arm and leading him off the stage at their star-studded $30 million LA fundraiser, and posted on X what I suspect everyone who watched it was thinking: so embarrassing. The Democrats can't let this go on, surely. Within a few hours, a staggering 7.5 million people have viewed my post, and many thousands of those had liked, reposted, or commented on it. I know that's where I saw it. It was on, again, the new space that I'm getting used to, Twitter. I'm new there. Look me up. I have no idea what I'm doing, so y'all help me out there. As I thought, the vast majority shared my honestly held opinion that President Biden is no longer fit for the highest office in America. I don't mean that he's too incompetent for the job, although many would say he is. No, I mean he's too physically and mentally unfit to function at the extremely high level required to be leader of not just the United States, but also the free world. I think he is incompetent, honestly, Pierce. That's my opinion. when the last Democrat to occupy the White House has to literally grab the current one because he notices he's had yet another senior moment and appears to be paralyzed like a statue on stage, it has to be the wake-up call everyone in the party must urgently heed before it's too late, doesn't it? We're only 5 months away from the 2024 general election, but what is now painfully obvious is that Joe Biden's already cooked as a candidate. So I'm going to stop right there. Again, don't forget, links to all the articles that I go over, stats, information, whatever, is always going to be in the show notes below. You can go check out the entire article by the New York Post. And of course, there's other ones out there as well. But you can go check the rest of that out just to make sure I'm not like skipping around and hiding stuff from you. I wouldn't do that, but it's possible I screwed something up. And, you know, if I did, call me out on it. So we're going to look at, again, we're going to look at the video. We're going to look at some more stuff here in just a minute, but I did want to mention real quick because he brought up the general election. Speaking of the general election, our first debate between Biden and Trump is next Thursday. Yes, next Thursday, the 27th. It is hosted by CNN, but I wanted to go ahead and put in a plug for Louder with Crowder. You guys heard me mention them before. Huge channel, huge show. I mean, just phenomenal. They got their own mug club that they have, you know, subscriber stuff, you know, mug club. All right. You're welcome, guys. But look, I watch their stream for all the debates. Anytime they do a debate, I watch their stream. They do a ton of instant fact checking that you don't get from mainstream media. They know what they're talking about. It's a lot of fun. And yes, they're completely biased and right leaning, but facts are facts and they call them straight. And I've heard them also criticize folks on the right, like Donald Trump. If Donald Trump gets up there and interrupts Biden while Biden's just blah, 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 and can't put a sentence together, making himself look terrible, they will yell and say, Trump, shut up, let him do it, let him talk. He's embarrassing himself, shut up. Which is something Trump has a hard time doing, to be fair. And sometimes that has consequences. He is not a man of few words, basically. Anyways, but I do highly recommend checking out Louder with Crowder. I will leave the socials, the links, and all that stuff in the description below. I know they're going to do a live stream on next Thursday, the 27th of the debate, and I will be in the chat. So if you watch on Rumble, that's probably where I'll be. I prefer to watch there, if not on Mug Club. I don't necessarily like watching the live stuff on Mug Club just because once it ends, and I can't keep watching it. So when they go over to Mug Club, I can continue watching on Rumble if I'm a little bit behind or something like that. So if you go over Rumble, you'll see me in the comments section or in the chats or whatever, and we'll be having a good time there. So anyway, socials down in the description below. Check that out. So, so I do want to show a odd source here talking about this. So for those that are unfamiliar with the video in question, the Young Turks, of all people, and if you don't know who the Young Turks are, they're a very far left media organization that, like a broken clock, get it right twice a day. You know, they're hitting, they're still missing more than they're hitting, I think, from a realistic, center aligned, balanced perspective. But I appreciate this because they're calling it like they see it. And I try not to use too much footage from them. I don't want to get any like copyright claims, especially from those guys. But I do appreciate their genuineness and calling out what they see. So I want to show you the clips from their show and just roll from there. We're gonna look into a couple of different clips from them, and I do have that divided up. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one.
All right, that seems pretty clear to me, but not to the Democrats. There's a giant debate about whether that video was accurate or not. We're going to show you several different angles because this is a Zapruder film. So stay around for that. And we're going to ask you a question. It's a very simple one. Do you think Biden is in mental decline?
In recent weeks, Democrats have claimed that right-wingers, Republicans, operatives have been circulating and editing deceptive clips showing Joe Biden in decline or dealing with age and cognitive ability issues. Right-wing outlets pounced on that clip of the finale, depicting what they alleged to be Biden freezing and needing former President Barack Obama to help him off stage. You can see the New York Post's framing here. Biden's team quickly pushed back, arguing that after waving to the audience, Obama reached out and gently touched Biden on the arm before walking off stage together.
Yeah, so first things first, I changed the music at the beginning of that video. They had some kind of like epic music that probably is copywritten by somebody, so I changed it. Hope you don't mind. So a little bit of liberties there. I did doctor that a little bit, to be fair. But yeah, so they're already starting to kind of dig in a little bit. And they're fisting to get into the spin that the mainstream media is putting on it. But they're saying right off the bat, like, here's the video. They showed the video that went viral. There's going to be another video coming up. They showed the video that went viral. They said that the mainstream media, the administration and other folks are saying that the right-wing media are jumping on anything to make them look bad and they're doctoring stuff. I don't think this is doctored because I'm smart and I know it's not. But let's look at how the spin is going. Let's go back to TYT. Let them continue.
Fresh off being fact-checked by at least 6 mainstream outlets for lying about President Biden with cheap fakes, Rupert Murdoch's sad little super PAC, the New York Post, is back to disrespecting its readers and itself once again. Their ethical standards could do with a little unfreezing. That was a statement from Andrew Bates, who's the White House senior deputy press secretary. He also adds, by pretending the president taking in an applauding crowd for a few seconds is somehow wrong, all they're really admitting once again is they can't take on the leadership that's fueling the strongest economic growth in the world, bringing violent crime to a 50-year low, restoring manufacturing jobs from overseas, and strengthening our alliances.
So yeah, so that's the spin, right? That the mainstream media and the administration are trying to put on, saying, oh, well, you know, it's been fact checked. It's been fact checked. Like that time that we covered it when Biden wore a hard hat backwards. And somebody was just making fun of him. I was like, hey, he's wearing a hard hat backwards. And everybody, Snopes, PolitiFact, everybody came out like, no, this is false. He was not wearing it backwards. Yes, he was. It's anyone who's ever worn a hard hat or seen anyone wear a hard hat knows it was backwards. But they have the fact checkers in their pockets. They have the social media folks in their pockets. I wouldn't be surprised if this video that I'm doing today on certain platforms might take some kind of hit or get some kind of fact check down below there, as they tend to do sometimes when you talk about certain things. That being said, again, I'm still shocked that it's TYT that's calling them out. But yeah, they're already saying, hey, the media is behind them, saying these are cheap fakes, that it's false. It's not. Let's go back to them for a little bit more. And we got 2 more clips I'm going to show from TYT.
But this is the video Biden's team decided to use as their proof. Take a look.
Okay, so far it looks good. Okay, Biden's hanging in there.
We've got a couple jump cuts already, though.
And by the way, now frozen. Oh, take the wide shot. Take the wide shot. See this? They are claiming this proves that Biden didn't freeze. Well, then why'd you take the wide shot at that time? And then there's Obama escorting him off. You saw the video earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So we also have the 2 videos synced up, so you could see the impact of the cuts from the Biden team live stream. Take a look. So you could see this is it's the exact same thing you saw on the cell phone camera footage from the audience, but after a prolonged period on stage of him not moving, not doing anything, they cut to the entire arena, the entire auditorium. That to me, Jack, I'm curious what you think, but that to me shows that even the producers in that moment were a little too uneasy about his motionlessness.
Okay, so I've said this before, and I'll say it again. And again, it's not meant to toot my own horn. It's meant to give you an idea of some of my background, which you don't necessarily need for this, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. So, you know, again, I'm a filmmaker. I'm an internationally award-winning filmmaker. I am a cinematographer. I'm an editor, a writer, director, editing, a film that I shot for someone else here recently and enjoying it. Part of editing is keeping it fast action and engaging, and part of that is creating cuts, jumping from one angle to the next, from a wide to a close-up, a medium close-up, maybe an action shot or something like that. The point of all these different cuts is to convey something different, right? So a cut is used to hide a bad take. A cut can be used to keep movement and the audience engaged, so it's not just staying stagnant and boring, right? A cut, especially a wide, you cut to a wide, that's your safety shot. You don't have to follow anybody with the camera. You don't have to make sure the lighting is perfect. It's a wide shot, right? You can always cut to the wide for a safety shot. Makes everything look smaller. Sometimes that's the idea. A cut can also be used to change perspective, like in that particular video when you saw where the cell phone footage was showing Biden was frozen, looking out in the crowd, dead-eyed, just frozen, right? When they cut to, it wasn't the full-on wide. It was like, it was a wide, non-extreme wide. It was kind of at an angle a little bit, and it made him look like he was looking more to the side. He was more engaged, and then it cut to the wide, so you couldn't really tell he was still frozen. But if you look at him, especially in that synced up footage, he's frozen, looking in the crowd. Again, while this is sad, while this is not a good look for Biden, the emphasis I'm placing on here is that, and I didn't do a montage of the news media, which you can go find. I think Mark Dice did a good job and used somebody else's montage, I think, but you can go to his channel. I highly recommend Mark Dice's stuff. And he's got a montage on there about this, where the news media, MSNBC specifically, but other news organizations are running cover, saying that we are lying by presenting the truth, an unedited video. Unedited. Somebody picked up a cell phone and hit record. They hit stop. They shared the video. That's about as unedited as you can get. The other video that the White House put out had at least 3, 4, maybe even 5 different cuts, 3 or 4 different angles. And while the timing was synced up to the other one, and we saw that they didn't stretch or change time, which you can also do that. You cut to another shot several seconds after it happened, if you can make that work, and it looks like he's standing there less time. Doesn't look like they did that. But if we're going to call something edited, wouldn't the one that actually had the edits be the edited footage? But they're claiming that the cell phone footage is edited. It's fake, or a cheap fake, as what they're calling it. These people are idiots, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're not idiots. Maybe they're really, really smart, and they're just really, really deceptive and really good at lying to you. I think they're idiots, but the thing is they think you're an idiot. That's what should really piss you off. They think that you are an idiot, and you will believe them over your own lying eyes. Let's go back to TYT for one more clip.
Well, Jordan, there's 2 different things here. One is, okay, how bad a shape is Biden in? I'll come back to that. But the other is, this is like almost a giant sociology experiment. Everyone that isn't a hardcore Democrat sees the same video. They see a video of a man who's very, very old, seems to have frozen. The former President Obama helps him get off the stage, right? But if you're a Democrat, you don't see that at all. When they pan away so that you can't see, all over social media and the Daily Beast and so many other articles writing like, aha, you see, Biden didn't freeze. Who cares about stupid facts? And now I see Democrats going, who cares about stupid facts? Oh yeah, before that he was waving. He was waving. That's a really low bar, guys. He was waving earlier, right? So that brings us back to the second issue, which is the state of Biden. Does anybody remember Biden earlier in his career? Because I've been covering politics a long time. I remember a really vibrant guy.
We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots.
Sorry about that. I may have added that last clip, for context of when he was sharp. But look, when you're so far to the left that the Young Turks get left behind, you're too far left for the Young Turks. It's a sad day for you. That's a sad day for you. I mean, that's pretty far to the left. And the fact that they're calling you guys out is huge. So I want to give props, obviously, to a channel that'll probably never see this, but hey, to the Young Turks, props for calling them out. I try to do my part in calling out my side and all sides and to be as close to balance as I can be with my own personal bias, because it's always going to be that way. But yeah, let's call it for what it is. This is a man in declining health. That's one thing. The other thing is how the media is portraying it and lying and trying to cover it up. They think you're stupid. They are lying to you. They want to manipulate you, right? Look, again, to me, this is less about Biden and more about how the mainstream media is willing to lie to the American people, even when there's unedited proof right in front of them. I know this segment is a bit long, okay? But I want to drive this point home with you guys, especially any liberals that are still watching. If you are, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you and present this to you. And I hope you're being very open-minded about it, because honestly, that's how people change sides. That's how people get new perspectives of life. That's how people get educated, by being open-minded and willing to be wrong, willing to change, willing to adapt, willing to compromise. That's what makes us great. That's what makes us a great community. And I think for the most part, most of us are. I think you got the far right, then you got the far left. You probably got about 70 or 80% of people that are more toward the middle. And I think we get along pretty good. So again, if you've stuck with me this long, liberals, I want to thank you very much, or undecideds. Because again, as much as this is about Biden, this is more about the media and trying to expose them, because that's what I want to do here. All right. So again, these are some more clips that they are saying, get over here. They are saying, look at these right-wing extremists, showing these cheap fakes and edited footage and stuff. While it is edited in the sense that it's a montage, meaning a series of clips strung together, it's not meant to look like he's sitting there stuttering and stammering for 20 minutes straight, or 5 minutes straight. It's a series of individual clips. It's obvious that it's a series of individual clips, but it's the individual clips where you start seeing the problem. So I'm going to hit play. We're definitely not going to play 5 minutes worth of it, but just enough to give you a little bit of a taste of what the right is putting out there to attack his cognitive decline. Yes. But what the left, the mainstream media, this administration are pushing back against and saying, this is lies. This isn't true, even though you can see it with your own eyes. I'm going to hit a little bit here. Let's watch it. And it's sad. It really is sad. I say that as someone who doesn't care for him. This is sad.
And I don't want to, well, maybe choose my words. I was just thinking, anyway. But I just, look, I mean, Putin's kleptocracy, yeah. It was in January, after being elected. The late January, early February. He said, it's not, we lead, not just, well, I won't go into it. Here's what drives the driver in the states that are affected. Here's what you can do, the drivers. For two reasons. One, it's an impact that decades are making, because inaction was, there was inaction with the Department of from Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa. The best way to get something done If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway. The idea that
all right, I'm gonna just stop it there, guys. Look, I mean, it's I'm gonna be real with you. I mean, I don't like Biden. He may have been passionate about representing the American people at one point in time. I don't know how long ago that was. Not the biggest fan overall of his. He's been a liar and a deceiver for a very long time, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But at the same time, I don't wish ill upon anybody, and this man is ill. He's an old man, and this is elder abuse. Be it his wife, be it his administration, be it the Democrat Party in general, pushing this man out there. He is not well. He is not well. So again, I'm going to be like Cenk Uygur here. 2 takeaways from this. He's not well, number 1. And number 2, it's obvious to everyone except for the mainstream media and his administration that keep trying to tell you that he's fine. He is not. So please, please, if you've listened to me this long, I hope this has been eye-opening for you. And I hope you will, at minimum, consider fact-checking who you get your news from, listening to alternatives for news. It doesn't have to be me. Sorry. It doesn't have to be me. You know, whoever you want to listen to. Do a YouTube search, Rumble search, Google search. Find somebody different. In fact, I listen to folks on the left intentionally and folks on the right who are obviously biased. And I often find that the truth falls somewhere in the middle, or a lot of times over on the right some. And I know you're going to say, well, Chris, that's because you're right leaning and stuff. But honestly, I've not seen this much cover for anything probably in my whole life. I've never seen something like this. It is very eye-opening to see the deceit behind those that have the power in the media, the elites that have control over so many corporations and stuff, ones that you're possibly watching this on right now. The power that these companies have, that these elitists have, that our government, who's supposed to be working for us, have. But again, guys, I thank you for sticking with me, and I hope this segment has been eye-opening to each and every one of you. Look, I know it's been a long show, but I appreciate you sticking around. That is it for today. Again, remember, we have our weekly shows Fridays at 10 a.m. Unless otherwise announced. Next Friday, I will go ahead and plug that again. We do have business owner, conservative commentator Robert Hurd coming from the Washcast, and he's going to talk about that. Some of his personal life probably, and how he got involved in politics and commenting on it and whatnot, along with his recent visit to Turning Point Action's The People's Convention, which was awesome. I saw his pictures on Twitter and everything. It was like he had a great time. I know he got to meet Alex Jones and so many others up there, so going to be asking a lot of questions about that. But again, that's going to be Friday, 10 a.m. regular time. That's just going to be an abnormal show for what I normally do. And outside of that, for my normal shows, the segments will be cut up into individual morning nuggets, along with some of my reaction videos that I have out there as well. And those will be sprinkled out throughout the week, just to kind of keep you guys, you know, something out there throughout the week to entertain you or educate you or whatever. Or for people that just, you know, can't watch this long format stuff. So don't forget to go check that out. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to. No pressure there. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll see you on the next one.
I'm going to court next week. I have been selected for jury duty. It's kind of an insane case. 6,000 ants dressed up as rice and robbed a Chinese restaurant. I don't think they did it. I know a few of them, and they wouldn't do anything like that.